Hey guys, Sebastian back, and today we're here with Lost Hombres on episode, I believe, 34. So we're getting up there now. We're almost as old as I am. So another episode and we'll be right there where I'm at. So welcome. Today we're going to be talking about some spirituality. So we're going to dive into today. We're going to get deep down into the psyche and really exploring like what's been going on with the world and kind of just getting my perspective on what I've been seeing and kind of giving you guys some updates about what I've been up to. So, a couple things before I get started today. I do want to give you guys a little bit of heads up. I've been working on a project. It's a resource page that I got going on. I've been adding a bunch of different tools to this resource page. I've got things like CBT, DBT, IFS, ACT, all kinds of different modalities, all kinds of different, things available for you. So just remember to check out my resource page if you ever need some extra support, because I've been putting a lot of work into this resource page. So I'll definitely give you guys a link to it, and if you guys have any questions about it, just ask. But I've been working on just making sure that the resources are audiobooks. We've got workbooks in there. We got different modalities. We got worksheets. So there's just a lot of good information on this resource page. So anytime you guys need some extra support, that information will be there for you guys. So just wanted to get that off the page. But anyway, so back to like what I've been up to. So a lot of what I've been up to these days is just really getting invested in understanding, my connection with the divine, understanding like, humanity at its core. I've seen some really interesting videos lately that's been on my mind and kind of inspiring me to go a little deeper. One of these videos was talking about humanity in the sense that it's like, what does it mean to be a human? And to be a human is to have your humanity. And when you lose your humanity, you become like a creature, right? So you're not so much a person anymore. And this reminds me of that same philosophy where they would ask like women if they would prefer to be with a man or a bear in a forest and why they would prefer the bear. Because the problem is, as much as you could be like, oh, look, it's a human being, right? That would have to hope that the what we've shown them from humanity, right, is that there's humanity within this person. Okay. That's why you'd want comfort from another human, because there's humanity within them. But again, when we take away humanity, you might as well just be another creature, right? And again, think about people when they're not conscious, right? What happens to their behaviors? Like, what's a zombie? It's an unconscious person, right? So they're just kind of autopiloting. So this goes back to, again, like, what does it mean to be human? Like, what is our humanity? Like, what does it mean to have a soul? What does it mean to have a spirit? So we've kind of gotten away from a lot of these principles that there's a deeper self. It's funny that in therapy, you look at the different types of therapy as it's kind of evolved over time. And a lot of it used to be kind of like based on symptoms, like you're crazy, like you're psychotic, like you're delusional. And even like criminalizing or looking down upon people who were spiritual based. So, what we've seen in society over the, course of time, especially with spirituality, as psychology became more prominent, it became more like diagnosed to be like spiritual. But then there's always been like this gray area, even within like therapy, where people are spiritual. We're not supposed to fight it, but we're also not supposed to like encourage it necessarily. So it's like who's been stuff they say makes a lot of sense. I mean, you really start breaking it down. None of the things they really talk about are that untrue, right? Like, what is a possession? Like, what is depression? In another way, it's like, at the end of the day, it's still like an entity, or it's still something that affects you, and there's a way to kind of get it out of your system. So you could say like depression is like a bug of some sort. It's like a thing that's like holding you down, and it's like a disorder, a mental health disorder. So the same thing again, like spirituality would say that's a demon. It's the same basis at the end of the day. One of them is like, I choose to be bad, and another one's like, I am in the best of being good and bad, right? So it's not like so much I'm an extremist where I'm either a good person or a bad person. I'm a human being that is living in a complex world. And so it allows me to have a little more fluctuation, with who I am as a person. So just something I've been, contemplating lately about mental health and spirituality and kind of how we've gotten to where we are. A lot of it goes back to again, like this disconnect that we've had with the spiritual realm, right? Growing up as a kid in America these days, especially someone that didn't grow up inside of a church environment, not necessarily all the time within a church environment, you definitely can see that there's a shift in the way America approaches, spirituality or religion in comparison to many other cultures and many other civilizations. And I think that what we see here, the injustice that we see, is the way that they demonize certain ideologies or demonize certain information, right? I think it goes back to, again, manipulation of the media, manipulation of power, right? Spirituality has always been a big counter to big government, so like having people that are spiritually awake, right? Why do you think there's such a push against things like hippies or things like Eastern medicine or things like energy healing? Like anything that might actually bring up people's frequency and actually might heal them in some capacity actually seems like this total negative thing that we don't want. And ironically, many of the reasons why they were spreading, spirituality for a long time was, again, to help enlighten people, right? Like bringing people to the forefront of what enlightenment really means. And here we are doing the same exact thing that has been happening for the dawn of time, right? Where, there's this group of elites who are telling you what organized religion is or what these things are, and it's just the same story playing out again, where the Pharisees and the Romans, right? So you got the Romans, who it's like the U.S. government, and then you have like the Pharisees, which is like the mega churches, and they're almost working together. So it's like the Roman Empire is working as one with the Jewish population at that time, and they're working in congregation, saying like, "Oh, we're different," but they're not. They're actually the same team, right? And so that's the problem. Spirituality should really be there for the people, right? And really supporting on a like a moral value, right? The government should be more of the physical, right? So like on a physical level, hey, we need more structure, but on a spiritual level, it should be, more the church and more, the philosophy of like people congregating together, right? And there's a different set of things you have to go through to understand, to preach and be able to like show people the light, versus government, where it's a track record of, again, a different type of thing. That's why there was like the kings, and then there was the priests, because kings are more for the the physical and like getting things done, and the priests were more for the spiritual and making sure that everybody was being taken care of, that the healing of the community and that their needs were being met, right? That we were aligning with our humanity, and being there for people. And so that's really what the initial churches would have been or were, right? If you look at the Bible and things like that, they had the healing groups, right? The priests, and then they had the kings, and they weren't necessarily the same thing. David was one of the first ones to be a priest king, and so was Jesus, right? He was a priest king. And so this is the same philosophy, right? Where we now see that they are taking these two ideologies and trying to put them into one. Same thing with Trump being a God king, right? They're trying to make Trump into a God king, right? He's might as well be the preacher, right? And he's the king, which is definitely not nothing like the actual, Jesus would have been. It wasn't that Jesus wanted to be a king. He was the king because of the first of all, his genetic bloodline. So that's a whole other concept in there. But he also was talking about the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of consciousness, right? Being a conscious person. And I'm willing to bet the people that are in charge right now of the government are not very conscious people. They may be self-conscious. That's about the extent of their consciousness goes, but it's definitely not a unified consciousness. So again, you see this problem in our society right now, where you have people in government who, again, are pretty much playing out the same story that played out when Jesus was coming around, right? So you have this value system that at one point may have been beneficial, right? Like, let's talk about the 1950s, right? This idea of like just doing enough, right? So if we look at the Bible, we look at Exodus, and we look at all these like Moses and all that stuff, and you talk about manna, and manna is the bread of life coming down, right? And during that story with the manna, you only take enough for whatever you need, and that was it. You just needed to take enough, right? And so in the 1950s, there was a big push for just having enough. like just having, hey, enough to get by, enough to be happy, enough to have your family, enough to go on a one vacation. Like it was just living in enough. Like we didn't need two cars, we didn't need all this extra. We had enough, and we had enough family to still be involved with each other, right? It's when they started convincing people, or at least manipulating the marketing, right? Of, hey, excess, luxury, more. And this is, again, the collapse of many nations that accumulate too much power, end up creating this same exact luxury system, right? And again, the luxury system is not sustainable because luxury is not real, it's fake, right? And so again, it's this idea that's never going to end, right? And instead of, again, luxury, God didn't make luxury, right? He made enough. And that's what life's about. It's about building a spiritual connection, having physically enough to get by so that you are meeting your basic needs, but you don't become the physical, because you remember the physical is just part of our experience in this metaphysical world, right? So living in this matrix, we have this physical world that we're living within, but when we get too attached to it, we actually lose what we were here for, which is to connect with other humans, to be a human being, and having our humanity. And so without this humanity, without this ability to connect with others, we get stuck in the physical, right? And so then again, the physical keeps you low energy. It's worrisome. Like, for example, the more material that you own, the more that you stress about losing that material. But it's like the idea of like someone that's homeless, or that doesn't have those kind of pressures, right? Well, to them, they're not going to be thinking about, when I lose my house. They're living within the moment, so they're going to be at a different type of level of peace, right? Versus somebody that's trying to sustain a lifestyle where they're always living in that pressure of like more, 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 which is unnatural, right? The way we're supposed to operate is enough. Like we do enough to get by. We do enough to enjoy. We do enough to fulfill. We do enough. When you do more or less, that's when you start living in that duality, right? Where you push yourself beyond limits and then you burn out, and you push yourself beyond limits and then you burn out, instead of just coasting along and living in enough. And so in the 1940s and 50s, we had a generation of people who were learning to live within enough. They were just living in their means, just enjoying what life had to bring, and really being a system of like values, and hey, stand up for yourself, and hey, do the right thing, and hey, be a good person. And there was a lot of beautiful things that came out of that time frame about really believing in something greater than yourself. But again, as a community, right? Working as a team, working as like a loving family, right? A support system. But you've noticed over time too that the systems and the powers that be have really been pushing to separate people all the time, right? They separate the children, they separate the families, they separate, and we don't congregate anymore. And literally, the whole idea of spirituality was congregation. We used to like come together as a community. We used to talk. We used to hold each other accountable. We used to love with each other. We used to like, and like even like in Mexico, there will be these like gatherings where the whole will gather together and hang out, right? And again, this is important because it builds a sense of community and connection that, hey, deep down, we're all just human beings trying to get along, right? And again, when we live it enough, then I don't have to worry about people taking all my stuff. If I'm living at the right amount and I'm always just living in the moment, I'm not worried about losing it all. It's the more that I take on, it's the more responsibility that I have to hold on to, that it starts to eat at my ability to like withstand life, right? I have to be willing to lose it all in order to find my peace and comfort, right? Not let the material world define what I am in my spiritual world. You know, it's like, hey, physical will come and go, but the spirit is what I take with me, beyond here. Another thing that I've been thinking about lately is how much money has been a corruption within our system as well. And again, if you just kind of watch how history is played out, especially from, like even like the 40s up until now, even like after the different crises that this country has been through, with all the financial stuff, you keep seeing a trend where, again, these people are at the top are just kind of taking advantage of people and utilizing their power, right? Or their control, I should say. Really, it's control, if anything, because they're controlling the system. But here's another thing, right? So since Sigmund Freud, back in like, whenever he was around back in the day, the way we have viewed mental health and the way we have viewed propaganda go hand in hand, right? And so you have all these different programs that have existed, like MK Ultra and all these other government things. And so to think that, like, I like there's a movie called Pineapple Express, and I would like talking about the government, like the secret, like, like how to manipulate people and stuff like that. But like that stuff actually has happened. Like they've learned how to brainwash people. Like if we think that they haven't done that to us, like they've been doing that the whole time. A great movie I like to watch where it kind of exemplifies this is They Live, because it really just gets to the meat and bones of like, hey, like once you start noticing there's like a dark society behind the one that you're being shown, you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't look right. There's something wrong here. Don't look at us. Don't notice this, or else you're going to end up suicide with gunshots in the back of your head. you know, suicide as he had a car back into him. Like what? What? Like how does this work out? And like, oh, no one knows. We're just gonna walk by. But, anyways, yeah, the people at power, right? These people that have been, manipulating the system for a long time, they get their power from money. They get their power from, influence and corruption and convincing people and putting things in their head. And again, like convincing you that you need more in your life. You need freedom. You're being oppressed. And when you have to go to church on Sunday, they're controlling you and all these things. And then at the end of the day, when you get this freedom, then you're like, I don't feel connected to anybody, because you're being convinced that you're being oppressed and that's what you need. But the problem is that you were actually programmed to look for certain things. And until you can accept your programming, you're going to keep having errors, right? It's like you've been programmed to be in this world. Like you didn't choose to be here, right? You were brought here. Something created you. Even from the fact of like your parents created you. Okay. So we all have a creator. Like parents created us. So regardless, right? There's something created us at the end of the day, right? So there's creation within us. And so when we take back, like, okay, so we're here for a reason, we have an operating system. And the more that we become in tune with this operating system, the easier it is to operate within this matrix, right? Like the world that we live in, there are ways we're supposed to operate. And a lot of us don't get educated from a young age on what this system is supposed to look like, right? So we're malinformed. We're not taught how to manage our emotions. We're not taught how to manage our thoughts. We're not taught how to plan. We're not taught to self-regulate. We're taught, oh, listen, oh, do that, like control, but we're not told to listen to our own systems, right? We are very intelligent beings. We have a lot of purpose. We have a lot of abilities. We already have a lot of presence in our life. And when we take that away from ourselves, what are we saying? We're not worthy, like that we deactivate ourselves. So that's one thing I've learned about spirituality or faith is accepting that the human system was meant to operate in a specific way, because anything counter to that, like it doesn't operate well. And this is coming from someone who works in mental health, right? There was a time in my practicing that I realized I feel like a shaman in some ways. Like I'm not. There's no medicine in my room. Like there's nothing here, but yet I'm healing people. I'm helping people like get healthier, lose weight, like find relationships, just all kinds of stuff. Like just get healthier, look younger, all because of their spiritual health. And it's funny because like mental health, right? So we always associate things with the brain, but the brain isn't the only thing that affects us. Our body affects us, our heart affects us, and our mind affects us. And so it's more, I like to think spiritual health, right? I don't like to think so much mental health, right? Unless you want to think of there's three minds, right? Like you would in DBT, there's the wise mind that comes from the emotional and the physical, or the rational mind. So the rational mind and the emotional mind make the wise mind. So if you want to look at that, yes, I would say that's true, right? But I would say spiritual health is much more important to me than mental health, right? Again, mental is only a part of the whole system, right? If my feelings are off, who cares? What would my mental state matter at that point if I can't get my emotions regulated, right? And so it's understanding that, hey, wait, maybe there is something there. there is a spirit in there. There's a like a soul going on in there. And once we understand that there's a soul, right? The personality, the being. There's a being in there. There's a being. They're not just a human. They're a human being, right? Because a human is just, but a human being is someone with a soul, right? So that's what we're trying to figure out with people is that soul part, right? That spiritual energy. Now, once people accept, hey, there's a spirit within me, there is something making this system function. We are operating, we are conscious. Once you have accepted the consciousness, then you can start to work towards, hey, like, okay, so how do I operate within this system, right? When people do this to me, how do I respond? When I do this, how does it go? Like when I hit my hand, it hurts. Ow. Well, what am I learning about? I'm learning how to interact with the system, right? I can understand that when something hits me, it's gonna hurt. Well, when somebody hits me with their words, it might hurt, right? It's gonna hurt. It's gonna have an impact on me, right? So still, this process of energy exchange, right? When you understand it at a deeper level, you realize that energy can be a mental or a physical thing. Energy is can transcend, right? Because on one hand, energy can be on a two-dimensional scale, right? Because you can see a frequency, right? You can see on a two-dimensional scale energy, but it also is three-dimensional. Energy exists on all layers of dimensions. Essentially, that is everything is an energy. It has to be, because that's how you would identify like any, like all dimensional beings, right? All dimensional layers have energy. Like the spoken word, the word of God speaking is energy. So everything is frequency. And so there's 2-degree frequency, there's 3-degree frequency, there's 4, there's 5, there's different levels of energy on different levels of dimension, right? So energy is like this infinitely evolving mechanism that exists on many layers of reality. Okay. So your spiritual energy, your conscious energy is super important because again, this is the energy that allows you to operate within this world. It's what I call your common sense, right? A lot of people say like there's no more common sense in the world. And it's true. There isn't a lot more common sense because common sense comes from common and sense. So we can also say like emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence or common sense equals empathy. So empathy is the ability to what? Is the ability to understand those around you. But the only way to be in that understanding is to be balanced with oneself. If I'm not feeling well, I probably can't operate on my highest capacity. And if I'm not thinking well, I'm probably not operating at my highest capacity either, which is why I would be spiritually sick. When I'm stressed out, that's a spiritual sickness. When I'm depressed, that's a spiritual sickness, but it does affect me beyond what? The metaphysical, right? I can feel stress. Thoughts can hurt me, but feelings can also what? Hurt me as well. Even though, again, like, where does it exist? You know, let's say I'm having heartache, right? But where does the heart, how does it manifest? Well, again, energy is multidimensional. And so because it can be multidimensional, there's different layers of what energy can look like. Like there's a negative energy when I get hit, right? But there's also a negative energy in my heart. There's a negative energy in my brain. And so there's different types of, again, energies that impact us on different dimensional layers within this reality that we call existence. So when I think about faith and I think about understanding the matrix and all that, it's accepting that, hey, there is a system within this realm that humans operate. And when human beings go against their operating system, these things happen. Like this is troubleshooting. Like that is what spirituality has become for me. Like in a way, a religion, right? It's understanding that, okay, when people do this, how does that affect them? When people do this, how does this affect them? So it's really like an understanding of trial and error through the experiences of people that you start to realize, there's a commonality here. That when people engage in this behavior, this is the result of how they look, that they feel. Or when they engage in this, this is what they say at the very end. And this is how they describe it. So really spirituality at the end is a accumulation of humanity describing itself so that humanity can understand itself, right? So if you think about all the data in the DSM-5, all the data or in a Bible, right? What is a Bible? It's a mix of a bunch of different stories from different perspectives put together to create what? A full unified story. Well, what's the difference between the Bible and the DSM-5? The DSM-5 is a story of a bunch of different people, providers, putting their information together, right? Their data that they've collected over time studying people. Well, spirituality or religion was the same way. They would go out healing people and they would say, well, this worked and this didn't work. And they'd come back and say, okay, well, why did that work? Why didn't that work? And they would have these conversations, and then they would pray and talk to God and be like, what's going on here, right? Same thing where, you're talking about mental health and you have these situations where you're trying to like learning like modalities or whatever. And again, this data has to go somewhere. So we have to study people, right? So it's the study of psychology is the study of people. Well, religion is also the study of people. It's like, how did we operate? That's why I love Chinese medicine, because it's the combination of both worlds. Actually, it's a combination of like 3 worlds. So Chinese medicine's like this, like, okay, so we got the physical world, so we're gonna handle that. We got the mental world. Those are deep. I'm gonna handle that, and we got the spiritual world. We gotta handle that. So really, Chinese medicine, they were so ahead of their time, and they're connecting dots on levels, and or I should say they're right on time. They got their thing figured out. Again, they got mind, body, soul down, baby. They understand the duality. They understand energies. There's times I'm talking with providers, right? And I'm teaching them about how, again, masculine energy is arms, chest, back, right? Feminine energy, legs, ass, stomach. It's not that I want it to be that way. That's just how it operates. When women want to be feminine, they work out their butt, legs. That's what they choose. I didn't say this to them. They are the one telling me. And then again, you could say men, right? Okay, so they only want to work out their upper bodies and they don't like to do leg day. They never said because it makes them look feminine. They didn't say because they don't like a big ass, because there's not a drive for them to do it. They're not incentivized. They don't think about it. It's not something that comes to them naturally unless they want to understand that about themselves. And so I've accepted that men and women are different. And I don't say that we can't unify and we can't align with each other just as much as my arms and my feet don't do the same thing, but they can benefit each other, right? My legs can take me a long distance and my arms can pull me up. They're meant to do different things, but they work together. They don't work against each other. And so the more that we understand that men and women are designed to work together, not against each other, the easier it is for us to find commonality. Again, our humanity, right? Not so much. And I make the joke of, a ladies' man versus a man's man. Man's man, he's there for the men, but a ladies' man understands both people. He's the people's people, right? He's there for everybody. He understands, hey, women have a different need and men have a different need. So I'm going to talk to my guys differently than I'm going to talk to my women. I'm talking to my women more respect. Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up, man? And there's a difference in our conversation and the way we interact with each other. And it does matter, right? And again, that's me accepting that, hey, I understand human beings require a certain level of conversational skill. I accept that when people are talking aggressive to me, I'm going to respond in a negative way because that's aggressive. So I can accept that, yes, human beings have these like natural, rhythms to them, right? We all go to bed and get up around the same time, right? We all have certain like schedules that we follow naturally. Like women with their period, they kind of have a natural rhythm, and that's humanity. And that's the part where we're programmed. We are programmed. Another funny thing I always tell people do, I love this. This is how funny God is. God's so funny that he programs everyone to say, oh my God, even when they're atheist. Oh my God, or Jesus Christ. Like, he's so funny. He's a comedian. He programs us to talk about him even when we're not believers. So even when I was an atheist, you'd still be saying, oh my God, because he's funny like that. He's a jokester. He knows what he's going to do. He's going to he programmed you, but he programmed you to be funny. He's a comedian. That's why he wants you to like enjoy life, not be as stressed out all the time. Because when people are stressed out, that's when they, ruin their life. But when they find life pretty funny, things kind of work out better. It's just it's a joke. It's a comedy. It's a comedy show, guys. We got one chance to, get up there and give them hell, as you could say, but enjoy it, right? Get up there and enjoy the ride while it's there. And that's what life's about, right? Enjoying the ride that you were provided and taking it to the full extent. But yeah, so God's funny. He programs us. And even people do Hail Marys. I can't tell you how many times as a kid, please, God, if there's a God out there, help me this and help me that and do this for me and I'll change my life. And as an atheist kid, in desperation, even a Hail Mary sounds like, hey, why not, right? And that's why I say God's funny, because God makes people dance when no one's around. God has people singing when no one's around, because he's funny like that. He knows what he's doing. He made us. And so every time we try to deny him, deep down, we're like, all right, I'm going to do this. And it's like, why do you think you like doing that, huh? Why you think that's normal? That's right. I made that normal. I made that fun. It's part of how you operate. And so again, that's what I've realized. Spirituality or religion is the study of how does the energy in the matrix work, and how we program. How does the creator interact with us, essentially, right? So from a spiritual perspective, it's me understanding that, hey, the more I align with my creator, the more that creator aligns a life for me worth living, right? Because then I feel like, wait, this is my life. This is how it was supposed to work out for me. So everything's working out in my favor. Great. Because again, I'm living at my highest capacity. I'm living on my story, right? And that's me accepting as a human being, like, yeah, my independence is important to me. Yeah, my self-respect matters. Yeah, I feel like my future matters. My passions matter. My interests matter, right? My hobbies matter. So I matter. I'm giving myself, right, the matter, right? Even the word matter, right? I'm giving myself self-respect to operate and exist. And that's really what this world was about finding that inner fire and aligning with yourself and really being true to the person that you were meant to be. And that's what spirituality is for me again. Like, just figuring out, hey, I was meant to be something great here, and this is how the body works. And the more I align with this, the easier life gets for me, and the more things kind of go my way. So one of the things I'll tell you guys, that is definitely not in the spiritual realm, or definitely that tries to be, is this idea of like what the Pharisees used to do, which is to tell people what religion is. And so it's no longer about finding like the meditative state, and it's no longer about being one with the universe and aligning with the deeper self. It's these traditions. It's these things that have to be, and this is how it's got to go. And that's literally what happened in the Bible, where like it comes back like, this is definitely not the house of God that was in the Torah. This is definitely not the way it was supposed to be, guys. Like, this is not how life's supposed to be kicking. And again, this, like I said earlier, this same process is happening out again, as usual. I mean, are we surprised? We're back to, taxing people to death, making spirituality like a monetary thing, taking away God from everybody. Like, now, in order to find God, you actually have to like go look for it. It's kind of wild. Like, cultures used to just give it to you. They say like, hey, like, this is what God is. This is how the human being works. This is us operating. Woohoo! Like, let's align with our spiritual selves and, get down and enjoy. No, they push that out of us, like, from a very young age. Get rid of that spirit. Get rid of that thing. You don't need that. Give it away. Give away that dream. Give away those things. You want money. You want power. You want control. You want to own people. You want to, like, again, like, all these things that they're just putting into their brains at such a young age now. And making them believe this thing, instead of, again, teaching them about their spirit, about energy, about true healing, about being present with the self, and just enjoying enough, just like the manna of life was intended to be. One of the things I really been thinking about lately is how much our world is a simulation, and it's just not a natural thing anymore, right? Because again, like, between money, social statuses, between the way we live within our housing systems, like the fact that we have bottom tiers and we're not just a community of people, that's a problem, right? It's like we have these tier systems and it's all made up. It's all BS. It doesn't actually, like, these aren't for God. Like, if people woke up tomorrow and they forgot about social structures, what would be the most natural thing? Let's just say we all blinked out. We forgot. We all got our mind just like amnesia. We all woke up like, huh, what are we doing here? Like, how would life change if everybody woke up with amnesia and didn't know about the past anymore, didn't know about the future, and was just living in the moment because that's all they had. They didn't know about anything. They didn't know, they had no past. So if you have no past anymore, how can you have a future, right? Because you don't know what that future is. Because again, if you don't have a past, how can you define, well, this has to happen? Because if you're living in the moment, then you're not being defined by your past, which isn't making you do a future that you didn't want to do. You get to live in the moment, being present, right? And again, this is because we have a history. And so because of this history, we keep making the same mistakes because, again, people don't learn from the history. But then again, this is the game of life. You know, this is our opportunity to do our version of good versus evil, you could say. I like to call it harmony versus chaos because good and evil is very strange of a word. Harmony and chaos make a lot more sense to my brain than good versus evil because that seems like a very subjective thing. But I can tell you this: harmony does a lot more good for the body than chaos does. Now, chaos is good for moments of excitement, woo, but definitely not for a consistent long-term life, right? Not healthy for the body to go through that much trauma all the time, right? We weren't designed for that. And again, we really weren't even designed for this. If we were to just like stop building up our society, let's say we stopped investing in buildings and stopped fighting nature, we actually just let nature do its thing again, right? It would take over. It would bring back all the green. It would bring back all the plants. We wouldn't have to do anything. If we just left it alone and we just worked with it, it would come back. It wants to grow back. The little weeds are going like this. We're coming to save you. It's like God is trying to save us from ourselves, and we keep killing it. We keep killing it. We keep poisoning it. We keep putting it back in the dirt. We keep trying to control nature, even though nature just wants to save us from our own fucking hell. We are living in our own inferno, right? What is paradise? We say it's the jungle and animals and the flowers and the beauty and nature. We call that paradise. It's literally paradise. We call it paradise. We say Hawaii is paradise. Why? Because of the nature. It's parasite. Oh, wow. Look at it. And why are we building paradise? Why do we have to go visit it? Why don't we create it where we're at? And that's the problem. We're not creating paradise where we exist. Why can't every village be paradise? Why does it have to be in a certain area and only certain people can get there? Only because we've built to be that way. When we could be building paradise every day, right? We'd be building towards something, right? We could let nature take back its course. It wouldn't take a lot for nature to take back its course. It kind of wants to do it all the time. Actually, nature is trying to correct our mistakes every single day, right? It's trying to correct humanity. And that's why there's that documentary about like, what would the earth be like without humans? And nature just kind of takes over and does its thing because it's not going to wait for humanity. It was here to be here to heal for us. It's not here to kill us either. Okay, let's just say this. Let's say the entire city here of Tijuana or San Diego went back to being a forest. All right, what would be dangerous about that? There's animals. There's like 50 humans. What are they going to do? Come fight us? They're going to do shit to us. They're scared of us. What are you going to do? A bear going to come get us? We got villages of people. They ain't going to fight with us. They're scared of us. They're going to keep away. They want to survive just as much as we do. But again, we make them scared, right? So if nature was to take back over, we would just be living within nature. Like imagine being able to go eat a fruit outside that grew from the ground. And you don't have to worry about pesticides or like poison or like a fucking company taking advantage and ripping you off and fucking the dirt up. And like overcrowding farms and like dumping toxic waste in this area over here and then fucking chopping down the entire forest and killing all the animals and all the things here. And then when you chop it away, where do we live? Oh yeah, there's the dead environment. Welcome. Here's your dead zone. What human being wants to go live in a deforested zone? Like that's not normal to us. That's not natural. Why do we have to kill nature to live amongst nature, right? Why are we so against just being one with the environment we were meant to be? And again, It's trying to join us. Trust me, nature wants to join us. It's trying to. It's trying to be friends with us again. It's like, hey, I'm trying to offer you a seed. I'm trying to offer you some green, man. I'm trying to offer you some fresh air. I'm trying to offer you some good fruit, some vegetables. Hello. People act like nature's like against it. Like, oh my God, there's a tree growing in my house. It's like, yeah, actually, the tree was there before the house. Trust me. You took the tree's location, actually. The tree used to provide you with safety, love, connection, history, right? And now what? Now I got to fight for a property instead of appreciate a tree, appreciate the nature of what it is, appreciate the spirit of Mother Nature, appreciate the universe, right? We used to love Mother Nature and we used to appreciate, the Father Creator, right? The Son. So you can see the universe as the mother, right? She's the womb. And then the creator is the seed, the source, right? And they work as a team. Source needs a universe to program into. So they need each other. The 0 and the 1 go together, right? They are united on this front. And I wish we could just teach people that, hey, your mother, your original mother is the universe. This is the virgin that was the creator's virgin, right? This is the universe that we came in to be. And we come from source, which again comes into the virgin and creates the universe, which is what we are, the spark of life, right? We are the spark of that divine source. So again, all these things would be common knowledge in other cultures that appreciated the spirit of the person, that raise the young to love nature, to love the creator, to love source, to love what is this world, that this nature, this paradise that we were born into. But again, there are too many powers that be who are aligning with the dark energies out there, the dark forces, you could call them. And well, they don't want people to wake up. They don't want people to be aligned. They don't want people to, to connect with each other. They want us to lose our humanity. And that's why you see a lot of these systems programming people from a young age to believe these ideologies or believe these things, or even like have hate towards spirituality, right? Like I remember, looking at Chinese medicine like it was some woo-woo, oh yeah, that Chinese medicine stuff. Like, why can't we understand it and not make fun of it? This is another thing. Like we make fun of cultures a lot more than we try to understand cultures. And again, this is where humanity like is being convinced that the like survival of the fittest and the dominant, this system that's not for humans. We are above this system. Like, yes, like animals live within this system when we are the caretakers of the animals. Like we are the caretakers of paradise. We are like the titans of paradise, whatever you want to call us, right? The stewards of nature. We understood that nature had its domino effects. We understood the nature, but we were one with nature. It's like God doesn't need to prove to us that he's God. He just is God, right? We don't need to prove to the animals that we're superior to them. We got to show them that we can take care of them. They come to us for support. There's times you see animals be dropping off their babies with humans and like, please help. Because deep down, they just want to connect with us. They're just afraid. I mean, the same way you've been convinced since you were a child that don't go over there, they'll fucking kill you. They'll do that to you. Well, that's not how human beings always operated. Again, there's tribes in Africa, or there's tribes in like the Amazons and all kinds of places where they still live with animals and they still interact with them. They'll be sitting there looking at a jaguar like, yep, that's Fred. Yep, he's there all the time. We just like to come watch him. And the jaguar doesn't mess with them because it knows who they are. It's like, oh, yeah, they're the locals. Yeah, we hang out quite often. And it's just another Tuesday for them. That's just regular life, right? That's what their life has become. Like just living with the steward of nature, enjoying life, literally life. Life, animals is life. Plants is life. We enjoy life. We forget that we come here to enjoy life. And what does life mean? Life is an energy source. It's enjoying life. It's enjoying movement. It's enjoying the dance. It's enjoying the egg hatching and watching it. And then it's watching the bird die. And it's the, oh God, did the birdie make it when it flew off the nest? And oh, it did. And That's life. Life is exhilarating. It's exciting. It's fun. It's interesting. It has so many dynamics. And we forget to just enjoy the essence of life. That's what we've come down to. We don't even know what life is anymore. And life is that spunk. It's that spark. It's that sense of creation. Something that's outside of me, moving independently, doing its own thing, living in the world in its own way, right? And so there's a beauty in being able to enjoy the divine and enjoy creation and enjoy life in a different way. Again, when we talk about we come here to enjoy our life, well, you're enjoying life, right? Again, the energy source of what life is. What's the point of being a lonely human? That's why he had to create a friend for Adam, because it's like, cool. So who am I going to share my story with? Like, it's just me. Woohoo! What do? I mean, thanks. It's my land and my place. But again, without someone to share it with, what's the point of having life if I can't share it with somebody? Like the human story, we're here to share it with each other. If there's nobody to share it with, what's the point? It's like they say, it's like if a tree falls and no one hears it, did it fall? Did it make a sound? Well, again, we're here to enjoy life together, or we're here to find the meaning in life, which is, again, appreciating what life is, the existence of this energy source, this pureness, this pure thing, this movement that's been coming from the dawn of creation of time, right? This ongoing fractal, as you could call it, right? Life is like a fractal, and it just keeps kind of everly evolving into some new form, right? That's what life is about. And this is why evolution is, why not? There's definitely an evolution, is, you could say, is definitely real, right? Because a programmer, just like a video game, right? Where like different patches come out and you're trying to do updates and things don't always work out the best, but you kind of like, program it the best you can. Well, that's how I see this whole system being programmed, right? Like something is programming it into existence. There's a dance going on underneath it, right? You may not understand it. Again, you don't need to, but just know there's a dance that's leading to this creation happening, right? We're here for a reason. Again, if you align with the universe, you will know what this reason is. And this is the time period you got to be born in. This is the species you got to be born in. This is the experience you got to have, right? So you're part of this, whatever story this is. And we are a line of, creation stories, right? Even the Bible is made up of, like, again, a bunch of different personalities coming together to explain some divine thing that's beyond our comprehension, right? And so that's the story of humanity. It's a story, right? It's us expressing ourselves to ourselves. It's creating meaning for ourselves through our own experience of existence, right? So when I share my story to my children and their children and their children, we are, again, involving ourselves with this spiritual divine energy that is helping us remind us that, hey, like, we are connected. We're a human, like, we're consciousness in one. And so we work as a community of consciousness together. So that's what spirituality is. And we don't teach this anymore. We don't have these foundational skills. We've pushed a lot of people towards materialism, pushed a lot of people towards drama content, just really judging people. It's easier to just be judgmental towards people than really be accepting and loving towards people. Even if you say something like, I'm a Christian, right? People see like, oh, I'm sorry. And I get it. There has been people out there who have made a bad reputation for themselves. And those are not true representations of what a Christian would be. Again, a Christian, like any other culture or any other group of people, it doesn't go around saying, I'm a this, so I'm superior to the people around me. That's not how that operates. Actually, if anything, you'd be more humbled, right? You'd be more like, hey, I understand that I'm bringing this energy to this world. I understand that my presence, my being is important. I need to be aligned with myself. I need to be present in the moment. I need to be meditative. I need to be responsive to my reactions, my responses, and I need to be, responsible for what I do in this world and how I unleash my energy on those around me, right? And so, this goes back to this bad habit of people, labeling themselves as something and definitely not preaching what they are. They're definitely hypocrites, right? And I would say a lot of people just use it as a way to, again, shield themselves, right? There's a lot of groups, that if they've been oppressed in some way, they will try to find a way to victimize themselves. And again, a true Christian would have the empathy to understand, hey, you know what? Have a blessed day. Understand, hey, no bad energy. Peace be with you. Have grace. But again, people that say they're spiritual or in nature or religious, or they say they are something. But again, just because you say you're something doesn't mean that you are that thing unless you live by that covenant, right? Are you truly living in a covenant of God? Do you even understand what it means to be in a connection with the divine source, right? Because being in a connection with the divine source means that you are very aligned with yourself. You are, working within your emotional range. You're focused on your mind, and your heart has a lot of peace, a lot of tranquility, right? So again, people of true Christian value, if you want to call yourself a Christian, right? Well, this would be someone that's very connected with Jesus, who would be a very loving person. Actually, so loving that it killed him. He loved people to death. Like, that is the best way to describe what Jesus was doing. He was loving people to death. Like, literally. Like, he loved us to death. Like, that's the best. Like, I guess you could say that's like the best way to describe that phrase, right? He literally loved us to death. You know, like, he's like, fine, I'll love you so much that you kill me because I love you that much. I'm willing to die for how much I just love humanity, and I just want you guys to be okay. And fuck it. I love you that much. I'm willing to risk it all. And he did. And that's what the story is telling us, is that we should love way more than judge. Right? What are we judging? The only people we should be judging are the people that believe themselves to be greater than anybody else because of their privilege. So the second you call yourself, well, I'm a Christian, I'm this, you are doing what the Pharisees were doing that Jesus was against in the first place. It's like you're just reinforcing the story again. And then you're not helping anybody want to become more aligned with the divine. And you're actually giving God a bad name. But again, this is what happens to people when they live within the system. And, I could tell them this, God knows what's up, right? So at the end of the day, like, you want to mess with the divine creator, like, that's on you. You want to have beef with the man upstairs or wherever, the man inside, and whatever the divine code, I don't care, whatever you call it. That's for them to have, right? I'm not going to be having that argument, right? Because again, at the end of the day, they know, right, what they're doing, and they clearly don't care. And again, how many demons will tell you that they're a man of God, but someone just saying they're a man of God doesn't make them a man of God. It's a man who knows how to be conscious of God, be conscious with God, and have the consciousness of God. God's conscious, right? That's the best way to kind of think of it. I'm literally like aware of humanity's needs and aware that I'm a human being with a soul. And this soul is what's activating this presence right now. And so this power is very divine. And every day I will get up and I'll be able to use this free energy that has been given to me with my alchemist stone, which is my heart, right? Which is why it's in the chest cavity. So yeah, that's really what it comes down to, is being one with the divine source, creating your kingdom within, right? Having peace in your heart, harmony and love in your heart. Again, loving people to death. Like, no, there's no other way to say that, but that's really what happened. And until they can find that love in themselves for their fellow humans, they will continue to live in hate. They will continue to live in fear and anger and frustration because they're giving themselves that hell. Like, Jesus didn't want them to live in hell. He didn't want people to be suffering. He wanted people to be free of suffering. He wanted people to be aware of suffering. But you can't make people get away from suffering when they seek it themselves and they put themselves in that position, right? Like, they have all the tools in front of them to change their life. They know what they could do. They know, the internal energy is saying, stop doing this, do this, right? The Holy Spirit is already speaking to people all the time. That's why they get fucked up, because they know deep down they're fucking up, right? They know they're a liar. It's a guilty conscience. Your conscience is connected to God. So that's your God conscious. Consciousness comes from God. So that source code is talking to you and saying, you've been fucking up lately, huh? And again, that's why you can't hide. You can go in a bunker all you want, but then God's right there like, where are you going to go? we live in the same, but we are one in both. I mean, the only way you can kind of, I guess, disconnect in some way is you try to go into like some psychedelic stance. But I mean, even then, he'll take you to hell with him. He's like, you want to go on a bad trip? I'll take you there, buddy. Let's go to hell and back together, huh? How are you going to get away from the creator? And the other thing too, all these people that want to build bunkers underground, if the rapture comes, what are you going to hide from Jesus? You're going to hide from God? You're going to hide from, like this presence that's going to come your way? You're going to get under a bunker and hide from divine source? It's like, dude, there's nowhere to go. What are you going to do? They're going to run away from the planet Earth? Like if God's coming to do a rapture, no one's leaving. Like you were brought here. You're going to get taken back. You know what I'm saying? Like we go home. Come on, get your story in here. Let's go. Well, you're not going to run away. You're going to try to run away from God, the creator of the universe. It's like, oh my God. But again, this is what people are trying to do. They're building their whole story on fighting, and sometimes I feel like God's just doing this like, all right, how far are they willing to go here? God already came to Earth once, he came as the Messiah, did his thing. Why does he have to keep proving to Earth that he's the Messiah? He's already done it. Like he's like, why gotta keep coming back? I already did it. Like I showed you guys I was real. You guys aren't gonna appreciate me, and you're gonna keep asking me to what? Prove it again, prove it again, prove it again. If I keep proving it to you, you're not gonna believe me. And so at some point, that's where faith comes in. You're like, okay, I believe it. And how do I know it's there? Because life aligns for me. Things work out perfectly. Right? I wake up and just boom, everything just perfectly synchronizes. Pink, 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 pink. That's how I know source is real. Because source is showing me, hey, if you follow me, I'll make it all work out. Just working out. How did it all work out? Because I'm real. What do you mean? You appreciate me. I can give you the divine source. I'll give you that magic, baby. Woo! Why? Because you believe in me. You put that good energy on me. That's why I love when I was younger, like when I did go to churches, I always went to black churches because I was like, this is spirit. Like if I wanted to be in a church, I want to be in this church. Like I remember I was going to Skyline when I lived over there, and I used to go to a church over there, and they'd be dancing and singing and bringing the good energy and woo, right? That was good times, I like that. I like that. That felt real, I feel like I was a part of something. I could feel the spirit within me, right? Even as someone that wasn't a religious kid, I'd get up and go to that church. Like that was a church I was motivated to go to. I was willing to get up and go to that one. Why? Because it was fun. It made it interesting. So like I said, life's supposed to be interesting and fun. It's not supposed to be boring. And I told you, God, he's a comedian. He's got the best jokes. He's your dad jokes. He's gonna make corny ass jokes, but they're funny, and they always hit the right moment. And that's why he's a comedian, right? It's like he breaks your back into the right place. That kind of feels good now. Wow, I feel like I just healed myself. Oh, sweet, thanks. And that's the comedian. He's funny, or sometimes he scares you just enough to go. And he's like, I got you. I got you. You thought, huh? I got you, huh? You thought you got me, God. You got me, God. Don't be fucking around though, huh? You ain't gonna fuck up again, right? I learned. All right. I'm gonna test you next time. Yes, sir. All right. Just making sure you know you on your right track. You know what I'm saying? Don't fuck it up. Yes, sir. All right, cool. Which is again why when I walk with when I'm serving God, I put my head down. Right. When I'm working out, I'm my head focused. When I'm walking with Him, we're just walking together, side by side. And when I'm just being grateful, I'm like, thank you for making it all work out perfectly. I trust you. I have faith that it'll all work out, especially if I put in the good energy, especially if I understand my magical energy, especially if I know how to use this divine source and connect and align. And you'd be surprised how much beauty can come out of this little spark inside. So, but anyways, guys, I just wanted to talk to you guys today about spirituality, my perspective on where I see things these days, how much we could change from appreciating divine source, and how much our lives could, contribute to just aligning with our humanity again, and just kind of loving people to death. Stop hating people so much. Love people to death. I'd rather that's what we need to love people to death again. instead of hate people to death. And so once humanity can change, make that shift, that's when we'll be able to find our grace again. But that's where we're at right now. We need to learn how to love again instead of hate so much. So, all right, guys, thanks again for coming to Los Hombres. Appreciate you, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.